A man remains in custody this morning after a woman's body was discovered on a ship which arrived into Rosslare Europort from Fishguard yesterday. The alarm was raised as the ship was about to dock at 5:30. And for more on this, we're joined from Rosslare by Newstalk reporter Andrew Louth. You arrived at the Europort this morning. What's going on?
Well, Pat, I can tell you that the Stena Nordica, which is the ship in question in relation to this serious incident as described by Garda, it is still docked where it was last night. Garda are still there, although I've noticed some Garda vehicles leaving the scene, but I understand it is still being preserved. There is still a technical examination being undertaken. Garda are still monitoring the scene there as well, and essentially. But apart from that, Pat, the Europort itself is running as normal, apart from a couple of cancellations on the Stena Line side, which is related to the Fishguard route. So there was a 8:15 sailing due to sail this morning, but that was cancelled as the investigations continue. But just an hour ago, I was just watching as cars started to pile onto an Irish ferry ship. So it is the port is open as normal.
But Nordica is stuck there until the Garda have finished their inspection of the ship. And tell us about the emergency call, the response, and how the whole drama unfolded, because it does seem there was a lot of action on board the ship.
That's right, Pat. So from what we understand, what happened was the body of a woman was discovered in a toilet on the ship as it was sailing from Fishguard in Wales. And after that, after the body was discovered, a brawl is said to have taken place, a very violent brawl by the sounds of it. And it was this which caused the captain of the ship to raise the alarm with the emergency services here. So that alarm was raised at about 5 o'clock, with the ship due to dock at Rosslare at 5:30. And then what happened once it docked there, then all the emergency services piled onto the ship. And one of those who was responding to that emergency call is independent councillor Ger Carthy. And he's also the ambulance operations manager for Wexford with the National Ambulance Service. And he explains from his point of view how it went down.
Look, we do a large number of calls to the port of Rosslare, but none or anything like what transpired yesterday evening. The captain of the Stena Nordica patched an emergency call to our control centre, which activated a substantial emergency response, multi-agency from the National Ambulance and indeed in Garda Station. He alerted us to a medical emergency on board. That was managed by ourselves, and on the conclusion of that, there was a lady pronounced dead at the scene. Now that's subject to a substantial Garda investigation at the moment, and I suppose we know the outcome of that in the fullness of time.
And did you have an opportunity to see any of the other passengers, just kind of what their reaction was and how they were feeling at the time as well?
Well, indeed, I suppose one of shock and sadness. There was over 200 passengers on board the Stena Nordica yesterday, and a large amount of freight. So you could imagine the scene there for 3 or 4 hours while they were held on board the ship, subject to the Garda investigation, and then questioned as they left the boat en route to wherever they were heading for.
And for yourself, were you at the scene for long last night? Did you have to stay there for a while?
Yeah, I was deployed, I think, at just about 5:15 yesterday, and I left it just before 10 o'clock last night, and the guards have been there overnight. And look, you know how these investigations go, and the time frame around same, so hopefully they'll bring that to a successful conclusion, but it is indeed a very sad situation.
Well, we should not jump to any conclusions. I mean, people do die on ferries from time to time, and it would appear this woman died on the high seas. Andrew, what stage is the Garda investigation at? Do we know anything about the suspect in custody?
Well, Pat, currently Garda are still calling this an unexplained death, and they are investigating all of the circumstances. But from what I understand, the people that were in the brawl after discovering the woman, they were all known to each other, and the man has been arrested. The man that has been arrested in the investigation, really, we don't know anything about him yet. I've been trying to do a lot of digging around, and there isn't much to be had on him at this moment in time. But from what locals have told me, they don't think that it is a local situation. But But of course, that's something that will be established in due course. He was arrested under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act. That means he can be held for up to 24 hours. As for where the Garda investigation goes from here, well, a post-mortem is expected to be carried out on the body of the woman at some stage today. And as is usual with Garda investigations, the results of that will determine the course of their investigation. But certainly there's, and even with searches still being carried out on the Stena Nordica as we approach 10:15 this morning, Pat, and it certainly seems that it is quite an extensive investigation.
All right. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. That's Newstalk reporter Andrew Louth speaking to us from Rosslare Europort.